What is going on, YouTube? We're working on another custom today, and today I am working on this 69 Chevelle X-Raycer. I was in the antique store the other day, and this place sells just loose Hot Wheels in plastic baggies. Most of them are pretty beat up and well played with, such as this one. And I picked it up. This was in the bag. Started looking at it and thought, this might be a cool little custom to make. It had some super sport stripes all along it that were kind of nasty and beat up. So I started doing the old Sharpie trick. If you don't know, you can take a dry erase marker and go over the tampos of a Hot Wheel, and it will eventually take the tampos all off. So unfortunately, I've already taken most of these off. And once I started working on it, I realized, I hadn't made a video in a while, so why don't I do a video on this? Because I think I have a pretty cool idea. It's not going to be a Nascar build, so I think it'd be interesting. It'll be a little bit different since the body of the car is plastic. I've never worked on a plastic bodied car before. So let's take this thing apart and see what it's all about. So the little tabs that hold the body to the base were already broken, so it shouldn't be too hard to take this apart. It's got a metal base, very cool, and check that out, full roll cage and everything. Got the big old V8 in there, can't go wrong with that. Very cool. And we have our body. So I'm going to need to drill out these posts, but I got to be really careful because the drill bit can either crack the posts, or if you get a little bit too crazy with it, end up melting it. So let's try and drill out these posts. This car is actually from the 2006 X-Racers 5-pack and is in translucent green. So let's try and drill this out without ruining it. So the key here is just to go slow and make sure you're lined up as much as you can be. It's not going to take much to drill these out, so you don't have to use a lot of pressure or anything like that. Most important thing, make sure you're lined up straight and that you don't go through the plastic and put a hole in your finger. It's actually kind of cool. You can kind of see the drill bit going down the post and clearing away the material. It's kind of neat. Alright, I think that front post is good to go. Let's work on the back. So just like that, I almost went all the way through. I felt that go and almost went all the way through. Woo, that was a close one. That would have been a short video, wouldn't it have? There we go. It's all drilled out and ready to go. Let's go put some primer on this. So recently, I started using the Krylon Color Max paint and primer. And I use metallic aluminum for my primer now. Main reason for that is it covers in a really light coat and goes on really smooth. So I started using this as my primer. I got away from more traditional primers because this stuff works out really well for me. And started using it on all my cars. And as you can see here, came out really, really nice. Really smooth. And yeah, pretty cool. Very happy with the way that came out. Let that dry for about half an hour or so, and then we'll start putting our paint on there. So I got the car all painted up, and I also switched the paint that I use on these cars. I started going specifically with Duplicolor, the Perfect Match paints. These are a little bit more expensive than the stuff I was using previously, but I think it comes out fantastic. And what I like most about these is I really like the spray nozzle on this compared to some of the other brands. And it works out well for me. And I really like the finished product. You put this and you match it with the Duplicolor protective clear coat finish, and you're gonna have one car that looks fantastic. So let's see how it turned out. Check that out. I love this Duplicolor paint. Got a few areas that I need to go over and just touch up a little bit, but for this being the first plastic car I painted, looks pretty well. I'm gonna be putting some decals on here, and I want the paint to be totally dry, but before I do that, I'm going to put some clear over it before I put the decals on. So I want this to dry completely. Let's set this to the side and let it dry for a while, and then we'll get back to it. The decals I'm using here are from eBay, from RWE FF1. I use them quite a bit, and I'm always really happy with these decals. And I have put hundreds of decals on cars, and the 6 I put on this thing were the biggest pain in the butt I have ever had with decals. All right, without further ado, it's time to see how this all turned out. Oh yeah, check that out. Very cool. I think it turned out pretty sweet. These tuned cars are kind of hit and miss with some people, but I actually kind of like this casting, and I think it turned out really well. I did a little wheel swap on there, and yeah, I think it turned out really well. Now, I made a complete screw up, and I didn't notice it until I put it all together, but if you take a look here, these Super Sport stripes got all kind of peeled up. So what happened there was I didn't have enough water or microset on the car when I put the decal on, and then when I sprayed the clear shrinks when it dries and started pulling up the decal. So I pretty much went out, sprayed it, set it aside, and went off and did other things, so I wasn't paying attention. I probably could have fixed this when the clear coat was still wet, but I just didn't see it, and it's a complete bummer. I think it kind of takes away from the whole car, but I don't know. If you squint, hold your head to the left and everything, it makes it look all right. I also dropped it and put a pretty good scratch up here that I couldn't take out with a rubbing compound or anything like that, but oh well. That's the way it goes. But anyway, pretty cool. I had a good time making this car, and let's go take a few close-ups. So despite the screw up with the decal and putting the big old scratch in the roof, I still had a fun time making this car. It's a little different than what I normally do, kind of getting away from the Nascar stuff and just going with kind of something different. And this was different for me all around. I've never worked on a plastic bodied car before, and it presents its own challenges, especially with drilling out the posts, and you know, the plastic can flex, and if it flexes too much, it can crack the paint. So it's something just to be careful about if you're working on these cars yourself. I think the coolest part about this build for me is taking a car that had been discarded, pretty much thrown away and left for dead, and taking it and working with it and bringing it back to new, or what I like to think is better than new, and giving it a whole new lease on life. And I think that's going to be the plan for the channel in the future, is finding these old beat up Hot Wheels that have been discarded and pretty much thrown away, and bringing them back to life and giving them a new lease on life. So I think that'll be the plan. I've been away from YouTube for a while, but if you go check out my Instagram, You can see all the cars I've been working on over there. And, you know, I'll still be doing videos here and there. So I'll be seeing you around. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we will see you on the next one.